Welcome to the Startup Competitors Podcast, where we talk with early-stage entrepreneurs to understand what information they use to inform product roadmap, strategy, and market differentiation.
Welcome to the podcast. Today we have Alli Truttmann, who's the founder and CEO of Wicked Sheets. Alli, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We just wrapped up a Venture Connects lunch meeting down here in Louisville. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Why don't we start with a quick pitch for Wicked Sheets and what you guys do?
Sure. So Wicked Sheets, we're an e-commerce company. Our mantra is that we're a comfort sleep solution provider for folks that have night sweats and hot flashes. So we have moisture wicking and cooling bedding that keeps sleepers cool and dry all night long.
Awesome. So do you only, and I will claim a little bit of ignorance here, do you only sell on your e-commerce platform? Do you also sell on Amazon? Do you sell in retailers? Like where can I find Wicked Sheets?
Yeah, we have a multi-channel distribution strategy. So primarily all e-commerce. From day one, we decided we did not want to go big box retailers. I wanted to do some margin protection. And if you're someone that has night sweats and hot flashes, I've always been of the belief system that you're going to go to the World Wide Web to figure out what's the solution. Up until last year, we've been an e-commerce company for 7 years. And then this past year, I did a pitch competition, which got me on QVC. So I went in front of the big screen in front of 96 million homes and decided to switch a little bit from e-commerce to the television marketing system, which was very interesting.
Okay, we're diving into that now.
Oh, yeah.
Before we do that, you just said 7 years. Let's just real quick give a current status of the business for somebody who's listening. Are you still in early stage garage startup mode? Are you taking over the world? Like just give any sort of any metrics, number of sheets sold, anything that can help paint a picture.
In my head, we're taking over the world, of course, but a lot of the day-to-day stuff is like we're a small, what Louisville calls a gazelle company. So we're in that growth phase right now. So we'll have grown, just for metrics, we'll grow 114% this year, which is great. The QVC deal was really an important metric in that. So to QVC, we sold 4,000 sets of sheets. So if that's any number to you guys or important metric to you guys, 14% growth, and we're a team of 11, 3 that are full-time employees, and the rest are independent contractors.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, so I want to go after the QVC thing before I talk about competition. Fun. Yeah, exactly. So how did that happen? Did you seek them out? Did they reach out to you? Like talk a little bit about how you ended up on TV, and then a little bit, if you can, about this strategy change on the marketing side and what the focus is now.
Yeah, this is my favorite story to tell. My founder story was always my favorite because it involved sweat and menopause and pregnancy and all that stuff, and none of that was me. But the latest and greatest is there was a pitch competition called the American Dreams Entrepreneur Series. And I was like, oh my God, if there's any person that would win this competition, it's a sweaty chick from Louisville, Kentucky, flying out to Silicon Valley and pitching all these people to be on TV. I was like, there's no way I'm going to lose this thing. So I show up, and Randy Zuckerberg was actually the judge, and it was her competition. She was going to be the celebrity host that would go on if this person wins the home shopping network opportunity. I was the last person in the last cohort of the day. I followed a musical toilet seat, a woman wearing Christian Louboutin shoes who sold tea that was supposed to be your nutrient for the entire day, and a barbecue sauce company who I absolutely have grown to know and love. They're just awesome. But needless to say, I was the last person. Everybody's tired, and they gave me the rules and regulations, and they said, you get 3 minutes. Don't cross this line, which there was a table that we stood behind, much of like what you'd see on TV.
Yeah.
And they'll ask you questions. Don't ask questions of them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be the scariest thing I've ever done. So I basically walk up to the desk. I'm shaking. I'm sweating profusely, as evidenced by my company, right? And the pitch ends up lasting 22 minutes. And the girls are inviting me to the table. Let me feel the sheets. Oh my gosh, this would be great. You reminded me of this host. Oh my gosh. So long story short, I end up winning the pitch competition, and they tell me I win a spot on Home Shopping Network. So we go through the song and dance of quality assurance. We give an offering. We do all this stuff. I raised about $500,000 that year. So I basically took all of my fundraising money and turned it into inventory. So my date was supposed to be May 22nd. Well, that came and went and I hadn't gotten on yet. And I'm like, what is going on? And they're like, oh, it's just TV World. Basically, there's another sheet company and it would be like putting Avon on after Mary Kay. So you just can't do that. And I'm like, okay. So they give me another date. It's going to be June 27th. Come to find out, I get a phone call, the dreaded phone call, and they say, hey, your deal's not going to go through. QVC just announced that they bought Home Shopping Network. And basically, it was kind of a money game. I was going to be giving some money to our celebrity guest host. The QVC people wanted the rest of it. It was going to be a kind of a nightmare, if you will. So I end up.
And you're still sitting on top of a bunch of inventory that you had prepared for this, right?
$300,000 worth of inventory.
Right on.
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
perfect.
I tell all my investors I'm going to turn this into gold and sell it, and they get excited. And I send out this board thing that's like, I won the pitch competition. Oh my God, here we go. And then I'm like, so guys, I got to tell you something. It's not actually going to happen. But I put my head down. I'm like, we're going to grind away. We're going to figure out a way. Because now I've like already done the customer demographic on this TV model. I'm like, we're going to change our marketing. We're going to hit it hard in the menopause market. This is going to be great. So I ended up lucking out. I found a rep group that had actually represented another Louisville company when they went on QVC. And I said, guys, I've got a product. I already went through all the channels. I know I've got a great story. We need to make this happen. So they made a phone call and I was flown to Philadelphia 2 days later to go pitch the buyers there. And I had a purchase order for even more than what HSN had originally asked us for about, I think it was 6 weeks later. And then I was on the air. My first airing was June. Oh gosh, I should know this. June 19th? I can't recall. I'll look back. I've been on 4 times since, and we did, on 2 of our best airings, we did about $7,000 a minute.
Do you have to fly somewhere every time you're on the air?
Every time.
You can't do it. There's no like local studio they can put you in to remote you in and okay.
No, but you know what? That's kind of the beauty of QVC. You go into this place, it's almost like Vegas. They're like, they must be pumping oxygen into the room because
interesting.
There's no windows. You don't know what time it is. You're there for hours upon hours. They dress you, they put your makeup on, they do your hair, and they're just like celebrities walking everywhere. The day I was on, Martha Stewart was there. The next time I was on, Catherine Zeta-Jones was there. Now, granted, they don't like interact with the lowly, sweaty sheets people.
Right.
But you feel like you're truly in Vegas. You're like, you never know who's going to walk through the doors. And it's just a place.
So high energy. So yeah, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's really neat. So then give me those different pitches. So marketing purely on e-commerce versus going on television. When you how does the messaging change in that world? What did you change when you decided to customize that pitch?
Yeah, the interesting thing is when I look back at this experiment right now, the QVC experiment is what I like to call it. It's going to be a television show on its own one day. So for 8 years, and the brand idea was born in 2008. So the brand itself was 10 years old, and it started as the empathetic solution. I was a child psychologist when I started it. The empathetic solution, or the tangible solution for folks who were suffering from night sweats and hot flashes like myself. So I was my first customer, and I knew the pitch, and I could do the pitch night and day because I was just basically talking to myself about, aren't you tired of waking up to wet bed sheets? Aren't you tired of waking up and changing your pajamas? Aren't you tired of fanning your sheets and what we called the hokey pokey early on? Basically, you stick your leg out, you stick your leg in, and you're trying to find a dry spot in your sheets. So when you talk to 96 million homes, you're definitely taking yourself out of that niche market.
Right.
And I needed to become a sheet that would be comfortable and cool for everybody. And so instead of using that language of night sweats and hot flashes specifically, which is great for Google, great for keyword and cost per click planning, now I'm talking to my everyday person. Now I need to use, why are you uncomfortable? What's making you uncomfortable? Is it your body temperature? Is it your spouse's body temperature? Is it the sleep environment? Now I have the solution for you. So we really had to kind of shift gears quite a bit, but it caused almost a identity crisis for me because for 8 years, when you're saying one thing and then you go in front of this massive audience, I never wanted to be everything for everybody. Even though the product is comfortable, I feel like we changed our pitch to do that. And it really drummed up some tough feelings this year for me.
Right. And how long are you talking in a QVC pitch? Are you filibustering for 20 minutes, 2 hours?
I wish your listeners could see me roll my eyes right now. So the first time I went on, I was supposed to go on 14 minutes and programming ran long, and I got 6 minutes and it's live. And you've got a microphone on you. You've got an earbud in where the producers are talking to you, and you've got an earbud in where they're telling you what graphics are going to go across the screen and what camera to look at. So you're going through the song and dance. Meanwhile, you get 6 minutes to try and sell your product and tell the best features and benefits that you've built into it for the past 8 years in 6 minutes.
Right.
So each time I've gone on, it's been an average about 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay. So it's still pretty quick. It's a quick pitch. Okay.
Yeah. You walk out and it's like one of those moments from Talladega Nights when he's like, I don't know what happened. I just blacked out.
Fantastic. Pop the stack, child psychologist who decides to start a sheet company. Like, all right, now I need to hear the founder story.
Yeah, so founder story, it's great. I played collegiate soccer at a local university here at Bellarmine University, and I survived somehow 4 years without getting an injury. I think I broke a rib. I started playing indoor soccer with the boys and tore my ACL. That led to 6 weeks of being bedridden, and I wasn't on any medication. I didn't have menopause. I didn't have cancer, anything like that. And my night sweats were still prevalent. So when you're exercising all the time, you're like, oh, it makes sense that my metabolism's high and I'm sweating. But in this instance, I was just laying in bed, not doing anything. And I had pretty significant night sweats. So I went to my doctor and we did that same checklist. She's like, you're not menopausal. And I said, I'm 24. Hope to God I'm not menopausal. No cancer, no diabetes, no medications. I think you have this thing called hyperhidrosis. And so for a lot of people, hyperhidrosis is excessive palm sweating, excessive foot sweating, pit sweating. Mine just so happened to come in the form of night sweats. And this goes back to child psychology. So I was a therapist for kids with autism, and I would go in home and I would do one-on-one therapy. And what you're trained as a behaviorist and as a therapist to do is you have no response. So whether you're getting, yelled at, you might be getting hit, you might be, having to do some pretty intense behavior modification, you're trained to have no response. So what happened to me is I would get home and my stress would all let out in the middle of the night. And so anxiety, stress, everything that you hold during the day would come out for me at night in the form of night sweats. So I don't necessarily blame my child psychology degree, but I think that is a really important tie-in that I've always wanted to help people. And maybe child psychology is something I get back into in the future when I sell Wicked Sheets for like $1 bazillion. But it was the thing that really led me down the path towards you played soccer, you were wearing Under Armour, you did therapy, your sweating continued, and you started identifying. Therapy also, you always want to help people. And so when I found myself developing Wicked Sheets, I was like, this is finally like a tangible solution I can give to people. Yeah. So the therapist in me just always feels good when we help a customer and we get a positive review.
Yeah, it still sounds very mission driven, which is awesome.
Good.
We'll get back on theme here. When you think of competitors for Wicked Sheets, what comes to mind?
I have always seen competitors as a way to measure your landscape and your market size. So in 2008, when I kind of started talking about doing Wicked Sheets, there was another group that actually started a very similar company, same year. And I love that we've kind of kept tabs on each other. They basically raised a bunch of money, very sophisticated, smart women. They raised a bunch of money, started producing a marketing engine. I basically took $10,000 I was going to put on a down payment on a house and some friends and family money and started trying to build the best fabric I possibly could. So I was working with fabric engineers. I was doing tons of R&D, and I didn't have the luxury of having a co-founder, which I think is always a point in my story where I'm going to go, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But only time will tell. So when we look at our competitors now, we all have a very functionally similar product and our price point. That's kind of how we judge each other. The fabric itself is very expensive. So probably if I get 5 complaints today, they'll say, gosh, your price point is $150 a set. I could go buy a whole set at Walmart for $14. And my answer to that is always, we have 4 competitors in our space. We are all charge the same thing, and the fabric is made the same way. Do you think we're all trying to like pull wool over your eyes? It's expensive. There's antimicrobial agents in this.
If anybody could undercut the market, somebody would.
Right. If we could, we would. I would love to be selling it at a price that every person can afford, but that's just the nature of the beast, right?
Right.
And I wanted to make sure I was providing a product that did what it said it was going to do, was scientifically developed and tested to do what it was going to say it was going to do. And we've gone so far as our competitive advantage being certified by the Asthma Allergy Friendly Organization. So our man-made fiber, no one ever hears this, is certified hypoallergenic. everybody always says, oh, is it cotton? Is it this? Well, no, cotton and wool and linen, they don't have cooling properties. They don't have antimicrobial properties. They don't have certified hypoallergenic standings. We have been able to basically, in a proprietary way, make a fabric that does what it says it's going to do. Wicks away 6 times more moisture, dries 4 times faster, and stays 2 to 3 degrees cooler to the touch all night long.
How do you do that? So if I'm like imagining in my head, I like to think I'm a pretty smart guy and I know a little bit about business. If I had to go design and develop a fabric, I wouldn't even begin to know where to start that. So like, do you have like somebody in your family has done this in the past? Like you just start Googling like design a fabric? How does this happen?
Gosh, I wish that it was that easy.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate. My dad was a chemist and then he was a sales and marketing guy for a private label foods company. So I was really comfortable in the chemistry, in the lab, if you will.
Yeah.
And then my background in psychology led me down a path of research for a number of years when I was in graduate school. So the chemistry background, the research background, I started really looking at basic elemental units of what would be a safe antimicrobial unit. How do you incorporate that into fabric? And for a while, the first couple of years, we were buying pre-made fabric from places that were getting like discontinued colors of Under Armour and Nike and Adidas. There are lots of places like this in the United States. There are warehouses for bulk fabric. Once I figured out like the look and feel and texture of those, then I ended up finding a place in Taiwan where the greatest fabric engineers of the world live. And I made really good friends with some engineers over there. And now I've gone over and met them and I send them specs and they send me samples and we go back and forth and it's just fantastic.
How long did that process take you to engineer the fabric that you have today?
So we are on iteration 4 of version Wicked Sheets 4 of our fabric. And with every iteration, it's all based on customer feedback, right? So our early stuff was a little bit heavier and admittedly, but it was wicking away. So if I was saying I was going to keep someone dry, I kept them dry, but it may have been a little bit heavier to the touch. So I looked at that and I said, how can we make this lighter? How can we make it more breathable? So you go back with that feedback and iteration 2, let's make it a little lighter. Let's change the pore size. Well, with every iteration, we did tests and measurements. We'd go to Intertech, we'd go to Tex Test down in Georgia, send our stuff to independent facilities and get it tested and then do consumer research. Send it back out to some of those customer MVPs or VIPs, if you will, that gave us great feedback. And are we getting better? Right now, the fabric we're developing is going to be about 4 degrees cooler to the touch. And it's my favorite of all time. It's so soft. It's so cool. But then you always feel like, oh, the last one we did was great. I want to keep selling this one. The next one is getting better though. So keep buying, keep buying. So the good news is everybody sleeps every single night. And there are at least 3 to 4 beds in most people's homes. So
right,
good opportunity.
Big market.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you market today, obviously you're still doing online digital marketing. How do you differentiate from those competitors when you think of segmenting the market and finding your customer within that? How do you do that? Yeah.
So I think the key differentiator is this healthcare avenue. So going ahead and doing the certifications, getting the seals of approval from doctors, actually in this room, I won a pitch competition called the Venture Sharks. It gave me $5,000 and I took that $5,000 and I bought an exhibitor booth at the North American Menopause Convention. And yes, a place exists. And yes, it was amazing. I know. Everyone's like, you got to be kidding me. So we show up, it's in Orlando, Florida, and there were about 4,000 physicians that attend, and they are all specialists in women's health. And in 2011, that year that we went, there was a pretty big shift happening in the pharmaceutical market, and doctors were fed up with prescribing medications that would maybe treat one thing, maybe the number one thing that they were trying to treat, but it would cause 7 side effects. And I hate to say lucky for us because it increases our market size. Night sweats is typically the number one side effect of medication.
Interesting.
So I have just always believed that staying close to my customer, understanding their medical needs, understanding the things that they're going through is a better way for us to stay on top of the competition. And with my research background and healthcare background, my mom's a labor and delivery nurse. My dad's a sales and marketing guy. That kind of like has really shaped me into being a medical lifestyle product. Our competitors, very much so in the luxury space.
So once you get in front of a healthcare professional, how do you stay top of mind with them? Is that a Is that a standard mailing list kind of thing? Or because I can imagine they go to a conference, they meet you, they see the product, and they're like, heck yeah, like I'll recommend this all the time. And then obviously time, distance erodes some of that. How do you stay top of mind?
Yeah, that's been a really interesting landscape for us to kind of navigate. Obviously, if a doctor is part of a hospital group, you have a lot of different rules and regulations. So this goes back to that the pharmaceutical industry was changing. This is the year that they're like, okay, you can't leave a pen that has your name on it because now somehow you're giving them a perk. So we're still navigating that water because, a referral is great. We do need to stay top of mind. And 1 in 4 women who come and talk to their physician is going to complain about night sweats. So it's pretty important for us to stay top of mind. You do the standard orthopedic sales guy thing, show up at the office, schmooze with the nurses, leave brochures behind all day, every day. That needs to be what we're doing. But I really think a better opportunity for us is partnering with a consumer home health product, somebody that already specializes in. We're looking at medical lifestyle products and they're on the shelves at the drugstore or Target or something like that, but they have this medical feel and they're backed by a Unilever or a Procter & Gamble, something like that.
Do you do, I don't know the right way to say this, enterprise sales, corporate sales, where you're selling to a long-term care facility that has 500 beds or anything like that? Do you have those types of deals, or is it still mostly residential retail?
We're exploring that right now, actually. So I mentioned before, I've been in New York recently, and a lot of the effort I've been putting behind pitching has been, I need to build up some corporate partnerships. And I really think we've got a unique opportunity, being that we are so medically focused, to get on the beds of some of these long-term care facilities, assisted living homes. And right now, all these boomers, I wanted them when they were in menopause because they were having hot flashes. Now I want them when they're in their aging care facility because they might have incontinence. And it doesn't matter what the moisture is, I can wick it away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's my big pivot in the future, right?
Yeah.
I just need to meet like 50 of the guys that were in that room and have them open their checkbooks, and we'll make that happen.
Nice. All right. Right on. So as you look more at this industry, and obviously you're working on iteration 5 of the sheets right now, what new technologies, because you're in an interesting spot that you're not only looking at technologies that can help you find customers, have better relationships with those customers, but also in the physical product that you manufacture. What new technologies are coming when you look out 3-5 years that you have your eye on that you think could be important either to the product or the way that you distribute it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. One of the ways I'll answer it is fabric technology is always going to be evolving and changing. And we've gotten some grief. Sometimes they're like, oh, well, can you patent this? Can you do that? Of course, our blend is proprietary. But the way I address it is everybody can make fabric. Not everybody can make wicked sheets. Not everybody can be the brand that we have built for the past 10 years. It was our 10-year brand anniversary in April. And I compare us a lot of times to Under Armour. He's still perfecting the perfect t-shirt. What he started and sold in the back of his pickup truck or van, I can't recall, when he first started Under Armour was, I want to wick away people's sweat when they're getting out of football practice. He won't patent any of those fabrics because he's like, why would I patent it if I'm going to develop something even better the next time?
Right.
And so we just have to make sure that we're nimble enough to stay up to date with fabric technology and stay true to our brand and just keep educating consumers on the power of fabric and its functionality versus the fact that it matches your bedspread or your curtains. People don't think about sleep anymore. I guess sleep is a hot topic right now, but people don't think about sleep and their bedding products unless they're thinking about does it match? Is it polka dotted or striped? Is it seasonal? Is it this? We need to start thinking about it functionally because sleep is the essence of everything. It's the essence of good health. And so we've basically been tasked with educating people about sleep. And I just do it in a means of talking about fabric and what it can do for you.
Quick diversion now because you've got me thinking about this. I'm trying to think the last time I used Sleep Cycle, which is one of the many sleep tracking apps. And I feel like I saw an ad in there. Have you experimented with any super targeted ads in apps that focus on sleep and health and that kind of stuff?
I'll say not yet. All right. So sadly, not yet. But it is something we've been sponsoring some podcasts that are basically mom focused and newborn focused because the hormonal flush and things like that. But we really should do some targeted advertising on sleep focused podcasts and apps and things like that.
other, again, because I'm ADD and you just brought this to my mind, what other places are you advertising? So obviously traditional digital spend, AdWords, Facebook, stuff like that, podcasts, anything else that might be unique that's something that you guys are doing that somebody who is also thinking of an e-commerce site might not be thinking of?
Not off the top of my head. A lot of it is traditional ad plays.
Okay.
We are seeing a major shift in our customer base and the social media varieties that they're using. So traditional Facebook marketing has been great for us, but as our customer is trending younger, that pregnant person, she really loves Pinterest and she really loves Instagram. And so we're just kind of diversifying our ad spend, doing some experiments with Google. We have a local boutique firm that we work with called Guardian Owl that manages our SEO, and we just had our 2019 planning meeting, and we've got some really cool ideas in the pipeline that I can't wait to roll out. But right now, we're still focusing on the plan we put together in October for Christmas. It's the blessing and the curse of having a business that booms at Christmas, because I basically already went through my whole Christmas season in October when we were planning it.
Nice. And thank you for giving me the time to do this right before Christmas.
Oh, no. Well, if I did my job correctly, we should be a well-oiled machine right now.
Like the confidence.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Full Stack PEO. Most founders start companies because they figured out a better way to solve a problem or serve a need, not because they love tracking payroll, filling out compliance forms, and explaining employee benefits packages. And yet, all that stuff still has to be done. That's why there's Full Stack PEO. Full Stack PEO specializes in turnkey HR for emerging companies, not just those core services, but advice and expertise that help founders maximize employee potential. Curious? Find out more at fullstackpeo.com.
So talk a little about seasonality. So obviously Christmas, right? It's a physical product, so gifting I'm sure is a big deal. How do you or do you have strategies to try to increase sales in the off season?
Yeah, what's so funny is when I started this, and the number one question investors would ask me is, so is this a seasonal business? Like when someone buys a set, is it a certain time of year? How does sheet buying behavior work? And sheet buying behavior is actually really important, but even more important, if I'm back to being this niche-y product, a lot of people buy at the beginning of fall. And it makes no sense other than the fact that when it's hot outside and your body is sweating, it makes all the sense in the world. Oh, it's hot. That's why I'm sweating. When it's cold outside and you're still sweating, they go, uh-oh, something must be wrong. So they start then going to their physician or going to the World Wide Web and saying, what on earth is happening? Why do I have night sweats and it's cold outside? And so oftentimes that's when people discover, maybe they have anxiety, depression, maybe they look at their medication, maybe they have post-traumatic stress disorder, maybe it's the throes of menopause and they've just been mislabeling it. Maybe they discover they're pregnant, or maybe they have cold and flus. So fall is a really important time for us because it's basically them saying, I'm having some medical event, and they've been able to flag it and they can't blame it on quote unquote the environment or the sleep environment. So we usually kick off our busy season in October, and our buying cycle is really cool. I love it because people will sleep on it for like 1 to 2 wash cycles. And then in that interim time, they have to go back to their original sheets, typically cotton. And I'll get a phone call or an email. It happens almost every time. And they'll say, oh my gosh, I have to buy a second set because we can't go back to cotton. My husband or my wife refuses to go back to those old sheets. So now I need a second set. And that is music to my ears because
that would be me.
Yeah, right. Once you start something and you get used to a fabric and it addresses your issues and you have to go back to what you did before, you're like, why am I sleeping so poorly again?
Right.
So we love that. Obviously, it means revenue because we're an e-commerce company and we have to be focused on sales. I love it as a founder because it means I'm helping people sleep better.
Order of magnitude, how many times do you think you've given the pitch to investors?
I've raised $1.5 million in my 8 years that I raised money, 7 years that I raised money. And I have probably pitched maybe 50 to 100 times. I know that's a wide span, 50 to 100, but it depends if it's individual pitches. I do a lot of guest speaking for entrepreneur classes. I just did one for a group that was here. I do a lot of marketing classes. I'm a judge at a lot of things. So I typically pitch even when I don't think I'm pitching.
Yeah. One of the things I'm interested in this business in particular, there's a super common thing when VCs or angel investors hear a pitch, right, is the first thing that they do is they say, would I use this product, right? So, and one of the things that's interesting about your pitch, particularly as I listen to it, is one, I don't have night sweats. At least I don't think I do. And two, many of the common things that you mention obviously are not issues in my life, menopause being one of them and others.
There is a man menopause. It's called andropause. So maybe, just maybe, you're way too young right now, but maybe in the future.
Thanks for that. Okay. Horrifying picture. So, of course, one of the things that you commonly hear, especially as founders reflect on their experience pitching, is that in a lot of cases, and I think in particular, I'm recalling how I built this with the founder of Spanx, right? When she was talking about like, I would go in and give these pitches, and male VCs, right, would hear the pitch, and it would fall completely flat because they couldn't put themselves in that space. How much do you think you've encountered that, or do you think your ability to apply it to so many different segments verbally very quickly just breaks through that, where people are like, yes, there's a market here. Even if I don't suffer from this, I totally get it.
Yeah. Well, first, let me just do a plug here. Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, just replied to my Instagram post this morning. And I literally popped open my phone, went screaming into the bathroom where my husband was showering. And I was like, oh my God, Sarah Blakely just liked my post.
That's awesome.
She even responded. It wasn't just a like, it was a response. And so, of course, it's on my Instagram page right now with like the dancing lady emoji, because I was like, a fangirl moment here.
That's awesome.
So she is truly a woman that I take notes from constantly. Her confidence precedes her everywhere she goes. And if you talk to her or look at her post, she would even say like, oh, I was so shy back then, or I had to gain confidence. She even tried stand-up. She was posting something the other day, tried stand-up to gain confidence. And she was like, I'm so embarrassed to be posting this, but it took a lot of trials to build up the confidence to go in front of these people and pitch.
Which is insane if you know her story and everything that she did. It's
I know.
Yeah.
And she's 100% sole owner of her company right now, which is amazing. I still own 68% of my company, which is also, I think, pretty good. But the thing is, I've never, ever felt threatened or that an opportunity wasn't possible for me. If it wasn't possible for me, I probably wouldn't go after it. It's like the avoid the failures you're going to have, right? Because why would you just waste their time and your time? I go after things that I want, and I will figure out a way to make it happen. I've not felt bias. And if I did, I probably brushed it off and went on to the next thing, because I just don't feel like you have time to be let down or put down. And when you're an entrepreneur who's on a mission to help people sleep better and sell a lot of product, you got to have this run through a brick wall mentality. And oftentimes brick walls are investors, and oftentimes they are your board, and oftentimes they are that customer who is unhappy and left you a bad review, but you just have to keep going and say, I got to shake it off because I got some people to help sleep better tonight.
That's an interesting perspective I've never thought of. Many of the companies I have exposure to are B2B SaaS companies, which doesn't mean you don't have customer complaints, and doesn't mean, but like the volume is just nothing like what I would imagine you must experience, whether that's on social media or, product reviews, stuff like that. How do you filter the good from the bad, and how do you put all that in perspective when you hear those reviews? And again, if they're mostly price related, that's fine, because it's not necessarily something that is in your control necessarily. But when you see the bad reviews, how do you shake it off?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Early on, I'm not kidding you, I would cry when I would read one, because I'm like, how can this person be so mean? And I think in the e-commerce business, I have grown some pretty tough skin. When people think that they're talking to a computer, whether it's Amazon or Facebook or whatever, they think they're talking to a computer. They don't think little old Alli Truttmann, who developed this in her 1-bedroom apartment with every penny she had, did it to try and help people. They just think, you schmuck, you gave me a product, you this. And we've always had 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. So they treat me like I lied to them or something. It's like, I'm sorry, that's why we have 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. If it's not for you, this is why this exists. You don't have to be so mean about it, right? So, but when going back to if I have a life after Wicked Sheets, when we sell for $1 gazillion, I will do a public service announcement that says, people, just be nice. Kind of like Ellen, right? Be kind. Be kind to the people you buy from, unless they're really, really, truly scamming you and ripping you off. Right. Like they're the person that said, your computer is running out of battery. Give me $400 now. And, then sorry, it's on you because you fell for a bad scam. but these are real people. I have thousands of founder friends, and they hurt just like I do when we get a bad review, because people can be really, really cruel. But just like picking yourself up again, you got to do it because you have more sales to make and more beds to change and more people to get sleeping. So it's tough. It's tough. But, in my tenure now, I've developed a little bit thicker skin.
All right. What's the best start? Because we totally can't leave reviews at that. What's the best customer story you've heard that has made you feel like this is why we do this?
Oh man, I get quite a few. I will never forget, a woman reached out to us after she got diagnosed with a rare form of lymphoma. She was down in Texas. Her doctor at MD Anderson actually was the one that referred her to us. Her night sweats were really profuse, and unfortunately, she ended up passing away. But he said, "You've got a couple of weeks, and I want your quality of life to be really, really significant." And she reached out to us, and the physician reached out to us, and her husband had lost his job because he was taking her to the appointments. She had lost her job from all of her treatments and not being able to work. And I can't remember if they were selling the car or they had just recently had the car foreclosed on, and they asked to get a set of wicked sheets and said, if I'm going to be in my bed for the next couple of weeks, I've been told that these are the ones I need to be sleeping on. And by George, I sent them 2 sets of sheets, followed up. She lived a couple of more months, and the feedback and the stories, we became personal friends. I would just email her to check on her and things like that. The feedback and stories I would get from her about life and how to handle cancer and the process of dying, I pin that story up on my board and I look at it every single day. That is exactly why we do this, whether it's pain and death and dying through cancer or something else. If you are going to be bedridden or you're going to have discomfort in your bed, I want to be right there with you, and I will empathize the whole time.
How big did you say your team is?
We are 3 full-time and 11 independent contractors.
3 full-time. So all 3 of the full-time people, and I'll even ask on the 11 contractors, are they as infected by this idea as you are? Because you are like crazy high energy.
I'm so passionate about it.
And I'm feeling that, right? Like, I'm like, I want to do this now. Like, so like, is part of that to influence company culture? Is that like, does that resonate with the rest of the team? Like, if I talk to them, would they share that same mission? Would they have the same, customer stories to tell? Is that something that you're thoughtful and purposeful about, or it's a small enough team that it's like, nope, that people are at this stage, people are electing to be here because they already share that passion. I don't need to build it for them.
Yeah, I think I've been very fortunate. I've been surrounded by people that if they're not passionate about night sweats, when they meet me and they learn about the company, they become passionate about night sweats. But first and foremost, they're usually passionate about sleep and helping people. And so that has just been the best part of this. And our team is so cute. Like, we'll do our holiday functions and things like that. I get them all shirts, and our shirts for our 10-year brand anniversary said "Wicked Sheets, helping sweaty people spoon for 10 years." Like, and they wear them, and they wear them with pride, and they wear them. We get these Under Armour pullovers and we put our logo on them, and you don't have to ask your team to wear them. And even your independent contractors are like, "Can I get one of those?" And that's how you know that you're doing something right in your team and in your culture.
Yeah.
We're so small, but we're mighty. Like, that's the thing. We're so small, but we're mighty with our passion. We're mighty with our customer service. And I hope that is the thing that drives us to the next level. I want to be a multi-trillion-dollar company, and I want to help every single person sleep better. And maybe I don't have to use the term night sweats and hot flashes so much, but it's the way to get me to that next step.
Yeah. What, if you can answer this, what products are next? So is there anything after sheets that you're going after? Is there clothing? Is there, other things that you would be looking at down the road that you might branch into?
Yeah. So actually I've designed a mattress, and right across the river, this beautiful river that we're looking at in Southern Indiana, we've partnered with a locally owned mattress company, and they're helping me build the Wicked Cool mattress. So we took our cooling technology and we put it on the topper, and then we have just layer upon layer of breathability. So when you roll on your mattress, now the warm air escapes out the sides, and the cooler, fresher air comes in through your sheets, through your mattress, and that's what basically helps the heat dissipate. Whereas traditional memory foam holds it. They're great for your back, but they are not great for breathability. So we have that. We have a Wicked Little Sleepers line for our sweaty little babies.
Nice.
We say we address the little dribbles and drools, because if at the end of the day I'm a sleep company that just has this product,
yeah.
If baby's not sleeping well, mommy's not sleeping well. or daddy's not sleeping well.
Right.
And so what's waking baby up? Maybe they had a leakage out of their diaper. Maybe they have drool and they're sleeping in it and they have a rash, which is another reason why we went after this hypoallergenic certification, because I know I can help baby skin heal faster by keeping it drier. And so I think we've done a pretty good job of staying on brand and increasing our product line. I've got a couple things in the pipeline that I'm working on right now that I'm excited about, but it'll always be something that addresses better sleep and from the avenue or respect of cooler sleep, drier sleep, faster sleep, sounder sleep, because you're waking up less interrupted.
Awesome. All right. I've taken too much of your time. If people want to learn more about Wicked Sheets, or if they want to get in touch with you directly, how do they do that?
Sure. Our website is wickedsheets.com. And I always give my personal email address out to anyone who asks. I just gave it to 72 students, right? It's Alli, ALLI, at wickedsheets.com. And I'm happy to chat with anybody.
Alli, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me.
If you're thinking of launching a SaaS product, Startup Competitors can provide data on your closest competitors, survey potential users, or provide other product validation services. Learn more at startupcompetitors.com.